Explosive, Representative Gohmert exposes FBI's greatest spy activity in 21st century. Target, POTUS, by Chris Starner for USA Politics Today. As the FBI surveillance scandal has come near the end, we can clearly see that this is much bigger than we thought and much more criminalistic and illegal. It turned out that FBI's treatment on Trump can be considered as one of the greatest spying activities in the 21st century. Most recently, Fox News' Martha McCallum made an interview with Representative Louis Gohmert, who exposed the real deal behind the hideous illegal spying on then-candidate President Trump. They've also spied on him even when he was elected, and everything was official. Their conversation soon turned to the heinous Russian dossier that accused Trump without evidence of hiring Russian prostitutes, but there is more to it than that, and it is worse than you would think. You know, the underlying umbrella question here, though, is whether or not the FBI and the DOJ were involved in perpetuating the initiation, I should say, of this dossier. And that's the big question about why Bruce Orr was meeting with Christopher Steele and was also meeting with Fusion GPS Glenn Simpson. McCallum questioned him. Oh, it's outrageous, and we still need to know. And I know Ron DeSantis did a great job, in pointing out we need to know if you took a politically contrived and paid for dossier that ended up being totally false, Gohmert answered. And you see that as a basis to go to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court and get a warrant to survey all members of the opposition presidential election team. If that's the case, then the FBI has been co-opted and corrupted beyond perhaps even the sorriest days of the FBI's time when J. Edgar Hoover was wiretapping Martin Luther King, Gohmert explained further. Let's take a listen.
Hill, the House Republicans grilled FBI Director Christopher Wray over concerns that top officials in his agency may be tainted by their political bias. Watch this.
You think?
If you kicked everybody off Mueller's team who was anti-Trump, I don't think there'd be anybody left. The Democrat National Committee in the Clinton campaign paid the law firm, who paid Fusion GPS, who paid Christopher Steele, who then paid Russians.
And now we have Special Agent Strzok. And that same agent is the one who reportedly interviewed Secretary Clinton in an interview that you and I have never seen conducted that way before.
Whether Strzok was involved in this, that needs to be disclosed to Congress. Whether the dossier was used to generate surveillance with a FISA court on a Trump associate, that needs to be disclosed to Congress.
We have sat here for almost 2 hours and have heard nary a word from my Republican colleagues about Russian interference in our election.
So you get the idea of what it was like in there today. Congressman Louis Gohmert, during these hearings this afternoon, he asked about specific names at the FBI with regard to the Russia investigation. Watch this.
Have you heard him open a line himself with political bias against the Trump administration?
No.
Mike McGarity?
No.
Josh Skule?
No.
Brian Parman?
No.
Here now, Texas Congressman Louis Gohmert. Good to see you this evening, sir. Thank you very much for being here.
Those are interesting. And by the way, after my colleague across the aisle said he had heard nary a word about Russian influence, I went ahead and said I'm glad he brought it up, basically, because we need to talk about the Russian collusion in trying to get uranium and the killing of that sort. So we brought up the Russian collusion with the Clinton State Department.
Yeah.
So anyway,
well, it's clear that as usual in these environments, there were two different agendas that were deeply at work today in the hearing room.
Notice how she cut him off there? Notice how she cut him off there with the Russian uranium thing.
Well, it was clear that as usual in these environments.
And with the Clinton State Department.
Yeah.
So anyway,
well, it was clear that as usual.
Wow, man, it is so obvious, even on Fox News. It is so obvious, right on Fox News. Can you imagine the other stations? They won't even mention this. Let's hear it.
The killing of that. So we brought up the Russian collusion with the Clinton State Department.
Yeah.
So anyway,
well, it was clear that as usual in these
Wow.
environments, there were two different agendas that were deeply at work today in the hearing room.
Well,
But I'm very curious.
Really wanted to get to the truth.
No, I want to know why you asked for those specific names.
them.
Do you believe that the people that you named in that hearing today need to be removed from the investigation or from the FBI? Why did you pick their names?
Well, this is the only place I have to ask the FBI director if he knows of anything like that. There are indications that there will be other shoes dropped in the future, and I wanted to know his position. So all I can say is stay tuned.
So you have reason to believe that the individuals that you named in there today may be added to the list of Peter Strzok and Bruce Orr? They may be removed?
Martha, you know, before I was a judge and a chief justice, I tried lawsuits, and this is the opening stage of where you gather information, and that's the way I took it. I wanted to know what McCabe knew before we take any other steps. So I'll be glad to talk to you when we have other information.
We'll look forward to that. You know, the underlying umbrella question here, though, is whether or not the FBI and the DOJ were involved in perpetuating in the initiation, I should say, of this dossier, and that's the big question about why Bruce Orr was meeting with Christopher Steele and was also meeting with Fusion GPS, Glenn Simpson.
Oh, it's outrageous, and we still need to know. And I thought Ron DeSantis did a great job, you know, pointing out we need to know if you took a politically contrived and paid for dossier that ended up being totally false, and you use that as a basis to go to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court and get a warrant to surveil members of the opposition presidential election team. If that's the case, then the FBI has been co-opted and corrupted beyond perhaps even the sorriest days of the FBI's time when J. Edgar Hoover was wiretapping Martin Luther King.
Congressman Louis Gohmert, thank you very much, sir. Good to see you tonight.
Thank you, Martha. More to come.
Oh.
They didn't want anything mentioned about the Uranium One deal. Gohmert is absolutely right on this one. In fact, as far as I can recall, he's always been on the right side and the right way of thinking. Wow, but that was like astounding. Once he mentioned the uranium, the Russian with the, we want to talk about the Russian collusion, the uranium, she cut him off. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.